Coming to you live from a garage in Gainesville, Florida, like two muertos de hambres, it's El Cuban Dudes Show with Andy and Abel. From the 305 to the 352, from Miami to Gainesville to Orlando to Tallahassee to Jacksonville and beyond. It's time for El Cuban Dudes Show of Florida. Dale! What is going on, everyone? What is going on? It's a beautiful Thursday here on the Cuban Dudes Show in Gainesville, Florida. I'm joined with my co-host, Abel Cepeda. Abel, say hello to the masses and the people.
Hello to the masses and the people.
Hello to the masses and the people. Great day, man. Great week. Great weather in Gainesville today, man.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
I think it was like, 74, 75. The sky was blue and beautiful.
Beautiful. We had rained all night last night, but it was fantastic this morning.
Yeah, man. It's great. I mean, the spring has sprung really in a really nice way so far, I think, in Gainesville.
I'm digging it.
I'm digging it too, man. It's real nice. Let me go ahead and bring you up here, Abel.
Dímelo. Ahí estoy.
Abel Cepeda.
In the house.
We got a great show today, man. We got a fun show today. We're joined by Orlando Mendez, the Cuban Cowboy.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and talk about him, his background, his family dynamic, being a country singer from Miami, Cuban country singer at that, from Miami.
You see, that's a trip. I'm digging.
I know. I love it. And talking about his new single, Motherland, his time on The Voice. I mean, we'll be talking about a lot of different things.
Nice.
It's gonna be a good talk with Orlando.
Like
Let's kick this stuff off, man. Let's kick this show off
Dale.
with interesting topics of the week.
All right.
Two in particular that I want to highlight on today's episode.
¿Qué pasó?
The first one is the whole P. Diddy diddling people.
Oh, the D, the I, the D, the Y.
Dude, you're so hip. You're hipper than I. I don't even know what that even's from.
That's his bullshit. That's his shtick and shit.
Yeah, the P diddler, fallopian fiddler.
Yeah, dude. The bub plugger.
Yeah, dude. Well, so what? He was like tried by like some FBI people or something about human trafficking.
Raided
Right?
his house, bro. I think like 2 houses in Miami, 1 in LA. Then I think they had been like checking out his plane. Like he has like this black jet called like Love, the Love plane. It's all black and shit. He has like a big black cock with wings.
Yeah,
and the fucking they found somewhere in Antigua and shit, you know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they got his ass.
Yeah.
He's very, very R. Kelly-ish. What's the other dude with the island and shit?
Was it Jeffrey Epstein?
That motherfucker. He's just like that guy.
Yeah, he's like that guy. Yeah, I mean, I guess it shocked me. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, all these people are shady, dude. All these like Hollywood type, not Hollywood, because I mean, come on. Let me not say not Hollywood. I mean, yes, Hollywood type, but just music type, big shot music type, people that have kind of just gone beyond the scope of Abel, you dropped, but
that's
back.
okay.
I could hear your voice
Go
though.
ahead.
I know we were having some technical difficulties
That's
with
okay.
Abel's laptop today. So
It is what it is.
it is what it is. We're dealing.
So let's hear it.
Yeah, but I could hear you. So just focus on getting back. But yeah, these I'm gonna
Come back to me, Abel. Come back
to me, Abel. So I'm just going full screen for the moment. So, anyways, these hotshot Hollywood type big music producer guys that are just kind of far beyond the scope of anything that is normal. They just so power trippy and stuff to take advantage of people and just do weird things, man.
My brother. So what I have heard is that he was doing things just like Epstein, dude. I mean, he had cameras in every room, the sex parties, and basically, that's how he was using that to blackmail artists and big people, like politicians. Same MO as Epstein, dude.
Yeah,
same thing.
To me, I mean, I'm not saying he's guilty, but the string of allegations against him kind of remind me of, like you mentioned before, like an R. Kelly kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's just like there's so much mountain of stuff that you get to a point where you're like, okay, something's got to give.
Right.
Right. One case, somebody claims, sexual misconduct, inappropriate behavior. You're like, well, her word versus his word, consensual, non-consensual,
Right.
But when you have all this other stuff going on, just back to back to back. I mean, he had one of his exes claiming that he mentally abused and tortured
Really?
that ex. He also has another one claiming that she drugged him. Excuse me, that he drugged her and sexually assaulted her as well.
Oh, he's a mierda.
So now he's starting to just kind of steamroll this whole thing. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. That sounds really, really bad, dude. I don't know how he's gonna get out of this one, dude.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I don't know either. Are you how are you having luck with your laptop?
I'm working on it.
Yeah, Abel has a laptop, guys, from like literally from the Stone Ages. I mean,
Basically, it's
it's
got a crank to turn
it's
it on. And
something
shit.
it's something from like the Flintstones. It's made of
Dude,
stone.
I was just thinking of the same fucking thing.
He has to crank it like a Model T to get it started. There's literally exhaust going off in this room right now. It's just
It's a garager.
Archer. So he's working on getting back. Um, and yeah, and when you have a live show, we mentioned this before. Things like this happen. It's kind of part of the shtick. Oh, and Abel is back. There you go, man.
Right.
I was feeling all kinds of
A loneliness.
loneliness without you here on screen.
All right, able to figure it out.
Abel figured it out. But what do you predict? You think this is all going to be a large misunderstanding, or do you
No,
think
I
it's
think
going
this is.
down?
I think this is the beginning of the end. I think once they really arrest him, because they have to arrest him with something, because they don't go that hard if they don't have anything, you know, just for shits and giggles. They're not going to move that kind of manpower that they did, because they did it simultaneously. So what I'm thinking is now everybody's going to get on the bandwagon. Yeah, everybody that got robbed from all his shady deals, people that got raped, all the with the sex trafficking. I mean, they're just gonna throw the book at the guy.
Yeah,
That's my prediction.
I think so. I think so.
Como Walter McGill.
Como Guatemala. Um, yeah, man. So there's that. I mean, that has been hot in the news, and it's one of those things we've been talking about our show lately, and the fact that our show's once a week, and we're like, man, there's just so many things that happen in the world, and then by the time we get on Thursdays, we just got to pick and choose what is like the hottest thing to talk about. But there's always something
There
going
is
on.
always something.
But the way the world moves is just like it's so quick. It's like talking about P Diddy and everything that he's doing.
That was
Already sounds like, oh, that's so 2 days ago.
Yeah, it is 2 days.
You
ago,
know,
right?
but definitely it is something worth, I think, mentioning and discussing in the show, because it's just one of those things, you know. Um, what else? Have you heard about? I'm sure you have, because you're much more in tune in the news than I even am in some cases.
Yeah, I'm a news
The
freak.
Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, Maryland, collapsing. You saw that?
Oh, I saw that, dude. I saw the video and everything, bro.
Yeah, it's there's a video.
Yeah, dude. So what they were saying is that I think this boat is from Singapore and has had this problem before, and it ran out of the power the first time. So you see it all on the dark. You see that it's all lit up. The power goes down. They crank her back on. Then they put like full reverse, steam coming out of the chimney stacks. It loses power a second time, and then there was just no controlling that puppy. It was just a dead stick right into the bridge, where I think we lost a couple of people, a couple cars. Is a disaster on that alone, but not including, now all the millions of dollars and billions of dollars that go through that bridge and that port. It's a shame.
Yeah, I heard that. This might affect, the cost of vehicles,
That's what I heard.
of fuel. This port the biggest thing it was being used for was to transport vehicles and coal.
Oh no shit.
So take a look at this. This is the
Alright.
image of the boat slamming into the bridge, dude. Can you imagine?
Dios.
Just hanging out there, just hanging out on a bridge,
No, like those,
living your life.
no, like
Just having
those guys. There was guys that were actually working on the bridge when that thing slammed in the middle of the night. There was workers in there. I think.
Yeah, I think the six. Last I heard, there was 6 dead.
Ooh.
And they were all workers that were working on the bridge.
Yeah, I think like from Guatemala or some shit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, some Central American cats.
poor Guatemalan dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, and let me. Why do you? Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. Back to where you belong, Abel.
Front and center, baby.
Yeah.
Dímelo.
At first, I thought, terrorist attack. When there's a bridge in Baltimore called the Francis Scott Key Bridge, gets hit by something. I mean, isn't Francis Scott Key the person who wrote the national anthem or something?
Oh,
like
that
I
part I don't know, Baba.
I think. I mean, somebody out there could correct me if I'm wrong,
We could.
but I believe Francis Scott Key, I think, wrote the national anthem. And
So do you think it's a terrorist attack? Maybe.
no, they ruled it out. I think
Yeah.
they investigated already, and they ruled it out. And they said that it wasn't a terrorist attack. It was just one of those things.
Singapore chino están comiendo mierda.
Están comiendo mierda los chinos. Yeah. But anyways, man,
Yeah.
those are two things that we wanted to go ahead and touch on here before we bring on our guest. Let me load my guest video here.
The man, the myth, the legend,
The legend.
the miracle maker.
Was that when you were a DJ at Hot Wheels? Is that what you
He
were
was a
kinda-
DJ. Was everybody come on, couples only.
Couples
No,
only.
but I was more the DJ's like, and here comes Sherry to the stage.
that kind of a DJ. All right. So yeah, enough of your crap, Abel. I'm ready to go.
Dale,
I always
dale.
ask Abel, can you please fluff some stuff as I'm loading things here? We produce and do the
Live.
show ourselves, guys. We got nobody over here pressing buttons for us.
Yeah,
We're
there you
doing
go.
all this stuff as we're talking.
Andy does video, I do audio,
Yeah,
and we
exactly.
both produce.
Exactly. Yeah, good point. So today's guest is Orlando Mendez. He is a UF grad, country singer, songwriter, old country town of Miami, Florida.
Whoop whoop.
That's right, Miami.
Miami.
And a second generation Cuban American at that. His new single, Motherland, and other works of his can be heard on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Tidal, Amazon Music, and more. Let's take a look at one of his latest works.
The mojito stopped flowing with mint and lime. You can blame it all on Fidel. How long he's gonna keep my people down, time will only tell. But you cannot take the Cuban pride, so Castro can go to hell.
Castro can go to hell. I love that part. Let's welcome to a Cuban dude show, the Cuban Cowboy himself, Orlando Mendez. Orlando,
What's up, boys?
Welcome
How we
to the
doing?
show.
welcome to the show, brother. I'm so happy you're here, man. And I'm really thankful for your time. And I know you're busy, man. I know you're busy.
Oh man, I'm honored. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be coming to you live from Miami, back in the hometown. So yeah, I'm hyped to be on here tonight with you guys.
Awesome.
How's the traffic, bro?
De madre. I was going from Doral back home today to Pinecrest, and it took me damn near 45 minutes.
Woo.
Yeah, and that's chilling.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that's.
Oh no,
smooth
that was a good day. There's
sailing.
no school. There's no school this week.
Oh, that's right, Semana Santa. No shit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. One of the big reasons why I left Miami was like the traffic. I mentioned to Gabe to Abel before. I was like, Coral Gable's in my mind. I was mentioning to Abel before. I'm like, dude, the traffic just had me so angsty that just being just a few cars deep in a red light would just set me off on panic attacks. Man, it's like I couldn't take it anymore, man. It was
Start
driving me
wigging out and
insane.
shit.
It's one of the downsides. I mean, and the funny thing is, I moved to Nashville thinking that the traffic was going to get way better, and the traffic in Nashville sucks. It sucks
Really?
so much. Yeah, it's not Miami bad, but it's
No, it gets bad.
up there. Yeah.
Yeah, because my mother-in-law lives there, and we've gone for Christmas, and we've gone for a bunch of things up there, and it gets bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard a lot of people are moving to Nashville. I mean, I've met a lot of people in Gainesville that are moving up to Nashville.
There's that. Do you know there's a whole bunch of Cubans in Gatlinburg? Eso está lleno de cubanos.
Oh yeah, every single time in the Christmas season, every year you hear about all the Cubans going up to Gatlinburg.
And the smell of pork, bro. Of lechon
Oh,
con
yeah?
mojo, yeah, bro, all over the place.
Sazón completo ahí
Sazonito
a los timbales.
Yeah, bro, Goya.
Goya. Oye, Orlando, let me ask you, dude, your background, Cuban background, guy from Miami, doing this country music thing, man. How did that go? How did that start? How did that even get into your head? I want to become a country guy, having the background that you have.
Bro, so yeah, I mean, I grew up obviously in Miami, especially years ago. The country scene was not present. So I didn't grow up listening to country music. It wasn't on my radar until I got to probably 13, 14 years old. I remember the way it happened was I had a girlfriend at the time who liked country music. And of course, she would listen to it all the time. I was like, all right, let me give this a shot. And the first guy who really turned me on to it was Darius Rucker. Because obviously, as a Dolphins fan, I've sang the Dolphins make me cry a freaking 100 times in my life being disappointed by them.
Yep.
So I was like, bro, I've heard this voice somewhere. Like, this is something I've heard from my childhood. Made the connection that was Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish.
Right.
And that kind of, it was like that moment started a deep dive into country music. Fell in love with his music, got into artists like Blake Shelton and Dierks Bentley, and man, fell in love with the genre and kind of never looked back,
Yeah. But what about your parents? What do your parents say when they hear that their Cuban son is into country music, wants to become a country singer? I mean, were they just like full support, no judgment, nothing, or was abuela like, ay, mira gringo ahí, of course, country music, claro.
Yo
Yeah,
quería que fuera como Willy Chirino.
you're right. I want him to be the
My
next Willie
abuela
Chirino with those dimples.
still doesn't get the country music, but she likes to hear me sing, so that she's good with it. Uh,
Good.
but no, when I first started, I mean, my parents have always been super supportive, no matter what I do. I was an actor before I was a singer, so I've never picked a steady career path. So they've been tortured with me all the way, but they've been, bro, nothing but supportive. I started into country music. They didn't never had really heard it, but now they're huge country fans. That's what they listen to on the radio. My mom has boots. My dad has boots. We have the whole country thing going on now, full blast.
Dude, and it's hard to get away from that because I know that in Nashville, once you go to that strip where all the bars are, where Sheldon has his bar and Kid Rock and everybody, bro. So bar boots, bar boots, bro. Tú tienes que irte para la casa con un par de botas, bro. Y si no, olvídate. I mean, you can't get away from that
100%. You got to get the boots, the hat.
for
You got to
sure.
do it.
You should have seen me this Christmas there, bro. I was throwing down. Con mi sombrerito. I had my alligator boots on, walking down like this. I thought I was, I loved it, bro. I'm not a big country dude, but I told my wife, if I end up living here for some sort of coincidence, I bet you in 6 months I'll know every country song, every country singer. I'll be a regular at the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, I'll be that guy.
You be that guy. You got to dive in, bro. When in
Dive
Rome.
in, bro.
What happened with me with country music was that my wife, Orlando, was that 99.9 Kiss country fan. I think one of their only fans down in Miami, if you get what I mean. And I met her and I was like, you're into what? When I was a kid, when we were younger, I've known her since I was 15, and I was like, you're into what? And as I got older, I think it's just because my palate in music just kind of got old and stale. I was just bored of the same crap. I started getting into country music, not so much what I consider quote unquote like kind of like pop country music, but more of like the real country music, like like bluegrass and like outlaw country and like the kind of like the equivalent of like the ignorant country music, if you get what I mean, like that kind of levels. And I love it, man. Like I loved it, and I have a bunch of playlists now on my Spotify, and so I very much dig it, and that's why I fell in love immediately when I saw you online, being this Cuban guy talking about Miami stuff in your country music, and Cuba in at that.
For sure, bro. I mean, it's two things that, two passions of mine that I'm trying to marry. I'm not trying to be anybody I'm not. I'm a Cuban kid from Miami, born and raised by the ocean, and who loves country music. And so I bring my life to my songs, and I'm honest about my roots and my family and the good times of my life, the bad times, and everything in between.
Yeah, that goes to show you the music has no limits, man.
Nah,
For sure, and people like Orlando kind of breaking the stereotypes
And
is really
breaking the
what's
stereotypes.
is really what's awesome. And I think that's kind of the biggest. Of course, you're going to achieve a lot of things in your career, but I think one of the
Absolutely.
biggest achievements definitely will be that. After your experience in The Voice, your recent, um, not to say because I'm sure you've had popularity on the internet, but I mean just more of like the recent popularity. Let's just put it that way online. Um, do you feel like Miami like truly knows who you are? Like, can you walk down some intersection in Kendall Drive or in Coral Gables or whatever, and somebody looks at you and goes, "Hey," you like, does Miami know you, or are you still kind of like just some dude in Miami because you're a country guy and not a lot of people in Miami listen to country? Like, what are you finding the experience to be like?
I mean, I get recognized now a lot more than before. After the voice, I feel like I got a little bit of an exposure boost. I was getting recognized in some grocery stores and stuff at Sedano's. At a couple places I was getting recognized, and then with Motherland, I've doubled my following, especially here in Miami because it's such a Cuban American uh, experience. That song. So I've recently been recognized by people, but I still feel like I have a way to go in Miami. It's a huge city, and I've only reached not even a fraction of the city and the percentage of people who I think will support me and get behind me if they know what I'm about and if they hear my music and my message.
Right. So you know what? There's not many Irish pubs that would love to probably have you there. There used to be more honky tonks back in the '80s. Still there in Kendall. There was one on 137th. There was a cool honky tonk out there. But a Duffy's Tavern was one that was good that you guys could have played music there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know about Duffy's. And I was actually wondering if how was your exposure here in Gainesville? Because I really thought that you might have picked that up while you were here studying at UF.
Hey, I mean, my time in Gainesville definitely made my love for country grow because I was out there, kind of small town vibes that I'd never
Right.
had before. Growing up in Miami, big ass city, and then I'm in Gainesville, and it's a little bit. You can get that small town vibe, you can get that college town vibe, and so I was jamming country music all throughout my 4 years, and it really made my love for the genre grow even more. I felt more connected to it up there.
But now you're not in Gainesville, you're not in Miami. Technically, you're living in Nashville. How are you finding that versus Miami? How do you compare Nashville versus living in Miami? How are you liking it or not liking it? I mean, in general, right? You could be you could be political if you want, Orlando. Just in general,
Yeah,
how do
no,
you how do you like Nashville?
I'll be honest. I'll be honest, straight up honest with you guys. I I've been there about a year and some change now, and the first time moving there was a bit of a culture shock.
Oh yeah,
Bit of a culture shock, and it took me a little while to adjust. I'm still kind of like not completely adjusted. Um, it's been good to me, definitely professionally, but my home is in Miami. My home is down here in South Florida, and so whenever I get the chance to come back, it's like it puts a big smile on my face. I like Nashville for now. I think it'll be a good place for me for the next few years to get my career off the ground. But the second I can get my ass back to Miami, you'll see me down here again.
For sure, for sure. No, that's definitely. I don't know if you been to Nashville, Andy.
no, but the company that I'm working for now professionally outside, because we don't make a dime on our show. Hopefully someday we will.
Right.
But so I need to pay the bills. So the company that I work for professionally is actually based out of Nashville. So I will be going at some point. Maybe Orlando and I could go shoot the ish one day when I'm up there or something like that if he's not busy. But I will go.
Bro, super cool town. A lot of great talent. People. I mean, there's roads there like Sony and this. I mean, just record houses, dude. People are writing, people are performing, every bar, every corner. I mean, if the bar is packed, you have the dudes in the corner, playing their their drums at the corner. I mean, cool, super cool place.
But is that why you went to Nashville, Orlando? Because Nashville is like the Hollywood for actors when it comes to country music. Like you have to go to Nashville in order to make it.
100%, 100%. It's the capital of country music, and I
Yes,
knew.
sir.
See, here in Miami and in Florida, I feel like my band and we kind of reached the ceiling. Not in terms of people we can reach, but just in terms of where we were, of growth and where we were going. When it came to really making waves in the country scene. And so I moved there just to be closer to the songwriters, closer to the action, to the executives, to the buildings like you were talking about, where country music runs. And so I've felt in this last year, I've made more connections and more movement, more waves than I ever did, back here. That's why I did it.
Bro, everybody's there, dude.
That's why I did it.
Dude, everybody was down there. I'm talking about the Johnny Cashes, the all the big wigs, the Mandrell sisters. I mean, everybody from forever.
I've been discovering a lot of movement in North Carolina as well in country, right? Orlando. I mean, a lot of the like the bluegrass bands that I've been into when I got into country, which, like I said, I'm almost preferring. That's my personal preference, though. I'm almost preferring that style of country. But I discovered that a lot of these bands, like Balsam Range, for example, and some of these other bands, like they are from North Carolina. Like I'm discovering a lot of North Carolina movement as well. Have you been seeing that as well?
Yeah, North Carolina. Obviously, Texas is always a huge breeding ground
Yeah.
for artists. Bunch of people coming out of Texas. Yeah, all over, man. But North Carolina for sure.
But now Miami, dude. Miami adds itself to the list
Coño,
of
ahora
country
sí,
guys.
bro.
Miami, ahora sí.
Ahora sí se formó, se formó Bayou. Oye, these white dudes in Nashville when they see you, right? Do they how do they take you in or not, Orlando? Are they like, oh, here's this kid, underlying kind of almost racism and saying kid that way, if you get what I mean? There's this
Right.
kid from Miami playing this stuff, I'm not saying they're saying that. They might not be saying that. I don't know. I'm only having my imagination run wild, but do they look at you in any way, shape, or form, and kind of take you under their wing and be like, Orlando's like this guy who's on the rise. We respect him, Miami guy, Cuban. Or is there kind of like an underlying kind of oddness a little bit that you're kind of breaking through a little in Nashville?
So I feel like I get both. This is going to be a little bit of a more intricate and in-depth answer. I feel like I get both. I feel like I walk into some rooms and I get people who don't really get it. They don't get the Cuban Cowboy thing, and they just like to keep their country from the country. And they feel like I've gotten the vibe sometimes that that I'm not legit enough, or that I'm trying to.
And that's just because you're from Miami, right? Not because you're not good enough, man. Because I've heard your stuff. Your stuff is fine.
No, yeah. And after the voice and stuff, and they hear me sing, and I've been blessed, like that's not the question anymore. Is can I be in that world? The question is just, do they get the vision or do they not get the vision? And so I walk into a lot of rooms. I won't say a lot, but some rooms that they don't get it. But then some rooms, man, people are intrigued. People are, especially the younger, like guys who are a little younger, they understand, like, man, the Hispanic market is huge. And you have all these first, second, third generation Hispanics who are getting into this country game and who love it. And there's a huge avenue there. And whoever can take that audience and bring them with them, I mean, the potential is,
the sky's the limit in that sense.
Massive. The sky's the limit. Yeah, for sure. So there's people who get it too and who love what I'm trying to do, who love the Cuban Cowboy thing, who love what I have to say and the vision that I have, and the potential to grow.
Let's hope and pray that you're that guy, man.
Yeah, I hope so.
His
man.
stuff is good enough, man. And listen, I'm not the type of person, Orlando, just by general character. Abel knows this about me. Abel sometimes looks at me and goes, Andy, please, bro, like, don't say some fucked up shit, or don't do this, or don't do that. I almost feel like he's like always looking at me with his eyes, like stabbing me with them, if you get what I mean. Yeah. I'm not a fluffer. Like, I'm not somebody to be like, oh, your stuff is good, and then be like, oh, dude, that guy sucks. You know what I mean? Right. Like when I tell your stuff is good, it's good. If I think you suck, I mean, you'll just know it. Like, your stuff is good, man. It's legitimately good. I've heard it. I've heard your stuff. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. I know you know that. No, but I just like to say this out loud. You know what I mean? Your stuff is good. I become a fan. And I really think, dude, that if somebody like you just doesn't make it in this industry, I'm not saying it's going to be for the reasons that, you and I both know as Cuban Americans and stuff, whatever, but I certainly won't leave that out as a possibility. Right. So I certainly do hope that you make it and you look back on times like these and go, oh, I remember when I was talking to these Come Mendez on the Cuban Dude show. Look at me now.
No, man, this is awesome. And I appreciate you, bro. But like, that's what I'm saying. It's something I'm trying to do is just be a champion. Listen, I'm trying to be a country music artist. I'm trying to also hit the country music scene and all the fans, but I'm also trying to be a champion for people with similar background, with similar ideas and similar upbringing, who want to champion someone who looks like them, was brought up like them in the country music world. Are you gonna do some kind of like reggaeton, like country fusion, dude? Imagine coming out on one of these like Cuban, whatever Hispanic Miami producer videos, and then here's like Orlando, like don't take a ding, and then there's a whatever, and then there's like this like fusion going on. You know what I mean? Like, hey, and it's not a stretch, right? Because like a lot of like old school Cuban music, a lot of music from our countries is essentially country music. Like if you really do think about it at the end of the day, it's folk, but like it's country really, if you really want to, so why not, right? Imagine something like that. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, that's just me thinking, but
no. And Orlando, you really, and the truth is that you have a great story to tell, man. The thing with your grandparents, how they, what happened with them in Cuba after Fidel, how they got here, how your parents did. I mean, they're great stories, dude. The way you feel about a land that you've never even touched, maybe you've seen in pictures, and how being Cuban and how that is, embedded in way of life, and the way that the people grow up, that you're like, oh, hey, I'm Cuban, or I love Cuba, or, I have something to sing about Cuba. You know what I mean? That's kind of cool, dude.
100%, man. And it's a unique perspective. I think it's the reason why this song is doing well, because it's something different. It's something different, and it's true to a lot of people. And it's touching the right people right now, so which I'm really excited about.
I put on Instagram a little bit ago. I'm not sure if you ever saw it, Orlando. And kind of like a write up that I did about my background. I was born in Cuba. I left when I was 9 months old. Lived in Venezuela till about I was 5 or 6. That's how we were able to make it to this country. Lived in Miami since I was 5 ish until we recently moved up to Gainesville. I lived in Miami my whole life, right?
Mhm.
But I'm one of those people that has never stepped foot back on the very same country that I was born in, like never. And in my write up, I kind of express how that affects people. There's like a psychological effect to that. Like you're kind of like this weird hybrid where you're not American enough and you're not Cuban enough and you're not white enough, but you're not non-white enough, if you get what I mean. You're like in this weird kind of space where you never kind of fit. And then even with your own country, you never really relate because, for example, the Cuban baseball team or the Cuban and the Olympics or whatever, like no, like you could never cheer on your country because it's almost seen as like, how dare you? You know what I mean? And it's just such a weird dynamic to be Cuban sometimes because of the consequences of our country. And I wonder if somebody like yourself, who is, I was born there, my children are technically the first generation Cuban Americans that are really Americans, right? How do you, being kind of second generation Cuban American, how does that affect you? Because I feel like I see it through your music, through your art, like it affects you, right? What do you think has allowed you to tap into that and be close to that source of inspiration?
Yeah, man, I think I'm like you said, and like the song said, I've never touched that sand, never been there. But I think the way that one of my heroes, Dan Levitar, the way he describes it is it's an adopted love. And it's an adopted love for the country through the people who have made me who I am, through the people who I love. Just growing up, hearing my abuelo and my abuela talk about Cuba, talk about La Finca, talk about all the things that they left behind, and the way, the admiration in their eyes, the longing for this land. Um, it gave me an adopted love for it, and the way that I love them made me love that island that I've never been to. Um, and so that's the way I feel about it. And your perspective is super fascinating, to feel like that separation, like that misplaced love you have for this place you were born but never been back to. I've never been there, but I just feel it through my grandparents and my parents and the people that I love, and I'm proud of my roots because of that. You know.
That's awesome.
Oh,
And
that's
and,
awesome.
and that's cool that someone like yourself is, like you said, even though you're a couple of generations now removed, you still feel that. And I do think that, Cuban roots, I think, very much run deep, right?
Yeah.
And outside of that, it's and I think with all Latin American, excuse me, Caribbean, South American countries, it's the same case, right?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think the Cuban strife has allowed our culture to really run deep in our roots, and you just feel the impact of it, even if you are a couple of generations removed, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But I think the love comes from, from even the simple things, dude. The love of family getting together and playing, the dominoes game when you're cooking the lechon and having your beer, and it comes from the Celia Cruz and dancing with Willie Chirino, and reminiscing of the stories and talking about the farm that was left behind and talking about the uncle that was left behind. It's a lot, dude. It's where the love really grows when you're in a family and you're talking about it and you're dancing and you're playing, all the old Cuban music, and that's where the love, where the love really grows in you, because it gets you wondering, it gets you thinking. It's like, wow, de verdad, Varadero, wow, how were those beaches? And they tell you that those were the best beaches in the world. It was fascinating for me growing up with my friends that were Cuban, dude. I was like, coño, man, that the love is great. It's big. It's intense. You
And I,
know,
and I feel like the Cubans do a great job of keeping that alive. Like my grandparents obviously did a great job keeping that alive and instilling that in me and my brothers. But my parents have done a great job too of just keeping that culture alive. My family, of we are proudly Cuban. Our get-togethers look Cuban, and the food looks Cuban, and the way we party looks Cuban. So keeping that
Yeah,
alive.
but believe it or not, man, people like you, people like me, people people like those that are probably closer to my generation. So, surprisingly, those that are younger like yourself, it's almost a little bit surprising in a certain way. Dude, Cubans from today and Cubans from back then are not the same kind of people. And I'm sure you know that. I'm sure your parents might have even told you that, your grandparents. And we used to be a culture of real hardworking people that didn't settle for anything less than success. It was just driven into our brain, wherever that came from. The source of the source. I don't know where that came from, but definitely it was ingrained in our character.
Mm.
Like very few Cubans that I've ever known, past generations, ever died peaceful, knowing that they didn't own their own thing, that they didn't have their own success. Like it was always like a burden on the body, if you understand what I mean, right? So you have some of these Cubans from these newer generations, and they're just like, dude, I don't want to really go off on a tangent with them, but they're just not the same kind of people. So when I see somebody like yourself, who has that spirit, who has that drive, who very much, emulates what a Cuban is. I mean, here's this kid from Miami trying to do something kind of revolutionary in a way by doing this country music. You know what I mean? It's not an easy climb when you're from Miami, Cuba, especially the content you're writing about. Because if you're writing about your truck and this and how you kicked your dog and how like your chicken ate your thing and whatever, you're like, hey, you're assimilating. But you're like writing about Miami. There's a song called Miami or Me, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? Now you have Motherland. It's like you're doubling down. You know what I mean? So it is something that I'm honestly impressed by you and your effort in that.
It's definitely a niche.
Yeah. No, it is, and we're obviously I read about some more general topics too, heartbreak and great moments.
Yeah, I've seen those two. I've seen those two.
Yeah, and then I have coming out now. I have some boat music, some beach music coming out, which is true to me as well. But it's interesting what you were saying before about that. I guess the reason the way that I am who I am and why I do what I do so strongly is because I was influenced by my grandparents, who showed me that, man, some things in life are freaking hard, but nothing that I do would be as hard as they did, like leaving the motherland, leaving all they knew. And then on my mom's side, my grandfather, my abuelo on my mom's side, he came to the United States because he wanted to like live the American dream. He worked bar shifts all night, went to the University of Miami during the day. He was an accountant. He served in Korea. Like this guy, he was a badass, and he influenced me like crazy. And so I think that's where I've gotten my drive. And if you believe, you can make it happen kind of mentality.
That's what's up.
Orlando, we got to take a very quick break just to play a quick sponsor. We'll be right back with you. I want to talk to you a little bit about your time on The Voice, and then, of course, we'll touch on Motherland. You stick around with us?
Yep, yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. Enable Properties is a boutique-style real estate and property management company located right here in Gainesville, Florida. With over 2 decades of experience in both the Miami and now Gainesville markets, Enable Properties and owner Amy Cepeda have seen it all. There is nothing Amy and her team can't help you manage, buy, and or sell immediately. Enable Properties has earned a multitude of awards, including those for excellence in customer service and overall customer satisfaction. Amy has a deep passion for the Florida housing market, and that passion will get you to where you need to be. Whether it's investing in new property to expand your portfolio, or whether it's selling your current house and to cash in on that sweet, sweet equity, or maybe it's taking that equity to buy your dream home, Amy and Enable Properties have you covered. Maximize your time and maximize your profits today with Enable Properties. Amy and her team are waiting for your call today at 352-225-1163 or check out their website at enablepropertiesgnv.com. That's Amy and team at 352-225-1163 or on the web at enablepropertiesgnv.com. Enable Properties, your Gainesville real estate experts. Go ahead and play the sound now, Abel. Go ahead and do it again. There you go. There you go. I have Abel over here. I'm the one drinking over here, and I think Abel's the one that somehow is getting smashed somehow without even drinking anything.
It's all this water you give me, bro. I'm telling you. I'm in another P. Diddy. The D. The I. The D.
My daughter during the commercial break comes in and goes, Dad, one of the chickens, because we have 6 chickens, and she goes, one of the chickens I think got attacked by a fox or something, whatever. I'm like,
So you really have 5 chickens?
when Abel's like, oye, dile que si eso lo cogió una zorra, whatever, to cogerlo y desplumarlo y hacer sopa tonight before I leave. I want some chicken soup. I'm like, de madre, bro.
That's awesome.
I'm like, how are we gonna get back with a serious face talking to Orlando when you keep talking all this crap?
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
That is what it is. Orlando, walk me through your experience, dude, when you went on The Voice. I saw your blind audition, and you killed. I saw mom and dad like friggin' there. That was like so cool. And you killed, man, and everybody wanted you, and it seems like they were almost fighting over you there at one point. Walk me a little bit through the audition process and how you even got that, and just kind of the process of it all.
Yeah, man, the audition, that first round. Talk about nerves, bro. Talk about your balls in your throat. It was bro, I mean, just the most surreal moment of my life. I say that a lot about that first round, but it's true. I went into there and I was just like, man, I just want one chair to turn, please, God. I just want to be on the show, you know. I just want to be out here and do this audition and not look like a complete fool. And man, never in my wildest dreams thought about 4 chairs. And 4 chairs turn, and it's to this day still the most surreal moment I've had. And the madness that ensued after.
That was in California, right? You had to fly out there to do this.
I was in LA, yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
Do we have something? Do we have anything there that we can show? Is there anything there?
I showed the clip there of
there
him
more?
singing.
Yeah, I
I
saw
mean, I'm not gonna. I don't like audio on those clips,
you don't like-
Orlando, because if I
Okay,
do
so-
that, it's like you're talking over your own audio, and that doesn't translate well.
Look,
with-
si vi que tenía su tejita, he had long hair and shit. You saw
Yeah,
that?
he saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really- no wonder Camila was going all crazy for him.
Oh, that's who he chose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me ask you about that, bro. You ended up choosing Camila as your, I guess, like as your coach or something, however that works. I'll admit I'm not like the Voice fan. I've seen some shows in the past back when American Idol used to be like a big thing. So I'm not sure how The Voice works very much in that sense. I'm assuming you choose somebody as a coach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You chose Camila over Blake Shelton, and I'm wondering, do you regret? Would you go back and do something different? Do you think that affected you in the knockout rounds and all of that?
I do. I mean, in the moment, it's tough. You know, you're on that stage. I didn't think I'd have 4 people fighting over me. That was never in the cards that I played in my head. So it was nerve wracking, but I had these people, and what you see on the show was like 5 minutes, but in reality, the whole thing was like 30 minutes. They were arguing for like 20 something minutes, just trying to get me on their team. And man, in that moment, it felt right. You know, there was something about the connection of the Miami thing. There was something about how hard she was fighting to get me on her team.
Dude, and Camila's pretty cute. You're not gonna take Blake Sheldon over. You know, I mean, come on, let's be real.
You know, that didn't hurt either. You know what I'm saying? That didn't hurt either. That didn't hurt either in the moment.
For sure.
You know, do I regret it? No, I don't regret it. Would I choose differently next time if I had to do it again? Probably, because I think
what about Camila? Do you think in the coaching? Because I like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the show, so I'm not sure if they show episodes where they show what the coaching means. Yeah. I'm not sure if they get into that in details. And like you said, it looks like 5 minutes, but it's really half an hour. So there's a lot that's not being shown, right?
Right.
What about, do you think would be different if Blake Shelton would have been your coach, that maybe she didn't offer? Of course, she's a great asset to have in your corner, but you know, Blake Shelton is Blake Shelton at the end of the day. He's a country guy, right? Where do you think the gaps would have been? What do you think would have been different?
I just think the show revolves around him, you know? So I think if he believes in you, which I feel like he did believe in me after that round, and he felt like he could do something cool with me, and I had some range, I feel like I would have gone further. He even told me after I got kicked out that last round, he shook my hand and he brought me close. He's like, you know, you messed up, right? And I was like, he's like, this would all be different if you would have picked me. And I was like, damn. I was like, add salt to the wound, bro. But no, I feel like, you know, if he champions somebody and he gets behind somebody, not saying I would have won the show, right, because he and Bryce, my friend Bryce, were a great fit, but I feel like I would have gone further. I feel like he believed in me, and I was a little bit of a oddball on Camila's team.
Who did she pick? What kind of singers was she choosing?
But
Like
she's big
rock
on
guys?
pop. She's big
Yeah.
on pop music, R&B, uh, and also personalities that are big and outside the box, like characters,
Uh,
And I'm just not that guy. I'm just a guy, I'm just a dude who sings country music from Miami. Like I'm not this crazy personality. So, um,
Yeah, I saw it. It almost like blew her mind when she found out that you were a Cuban guy from Miami. When
exactly. But I am who I am. I'm not like trying to play a character or anything. I'm just a dude who likes to.
you maintain contact with all these folks, with Camila and Blake and everybody, or is that one of those things where like after that you're just some dude once again?
Yeah, you get off the show and basically you'll never hear from them again unless you do.
so my next question would be: would you consider, or is it a possibility for you to go and try out again, maybe in a year or two?
I mean, maybe. Right now, I'm just really trying to chase, taking that next level and making a name for myself through my music and through playing and my own efforts. If in a couple years I feel stagnant and I feel like I need another boost, for sure. It was a good experience. It was a great exposure boost. And so in a couple years, if I felt super stagnant, I would do it again.
Do you feel like your career really started to take shape after that show, or do you feel like that was already like you didn't need the show in order to get to where you are right now?
No, I feel like it helped a lot. I feel like it helped a lot. I was at a point where I was just gigging here in Florida, which was going great. Like we were on the up and up. My band and I, we had expanded from Miami to St. Augustine. We had a little fan base in Jacksonville. Like we were doing things, but that would just kind of, took it up a notch, and it made me meet a whole bunch of people who, honestly, that was like the final push to move to Nashville, and it's the reason I'm there now.
Yeah, that's a good move. Nashville is definitely the move to
Definitely.
do, brother.
I had been thinking about it. I'd been thinking about it for a while, but I was so comfortable back here. I was like, I'm growing, I'm good. And then the show, I met people and they were like, no, you got to be in Nashville. If you want to be
Yeah,
legit,
yeah.
Are mommy and papi gonna move to Nashville too, or are they like, no, we know you're gonna come back at some point, so we're holding down?
listen, this last year, they've been looking at properties. They've gone up there to
Um,
see stuff. They
yeah,
were
I knew it.
right behind me.
Cuban mommy and papi can never let go, bro. They follow their kids wherever they.
They were ready, man. They were ready. And then, I've told them, through this last year, I've learned a lot. And I was like, listen, stay put in Miami. Hopefully, God's will, I'll be back there. I'll be back there soon.
Yes, that's right. Especially with a song like Motherland, man. The Motherland's making waves. I definitely have seen it. Of course, you had that one live video where you reference, right? You asked the crowd, like how many people are here from Miami or from a Cuban background, whatever. And I feel like that video in particular, right? That was a great video, by the way. I'm not sure if that was planned or if that was somebody just recording you and you happen to get that video clip, but that was excellent. I mean, I think that was the first video I saw of you. And my wife in particular, who's like I said, is like a big country person, very much caught her eye. Um, so tell me a little bit about. I know you mentioned it already up front, but I feel like I want to kind of go over that again, kind of just to cement it here. When we're talking about Motherland in a song like that, what got you to put kind of pen to paper and be like, I'm gonna write a song about like just that like the Cuban people and kind of like you said, you talk about from the perspective of someone like myself that either was born or has the culture from being there, but you've never even and you have this longing for this place that you've never even stepped foot in, right? Like just what drove you to kind of start that process?
Well, honestly, I feel like most of my life I've taken it for granted, and I would hear these stories, like I said, of my grandparents talking about Cuba on both sides, and their life, and I took it very much for granted, growing up. And then I feel like a big moment for me. I was in a show in a play down here in Miami called Amparo, the Amparo Experience, which was all about the story of the Rio Havana Club and how it was taken once the Castro regime took over. And it was a very Cuban American show that made me question, like, man, I need to find out more about where I come from. I need to find out more about my family and my story and my roots. And so I started to deep dive after that. Unfortunately, that was around the time that I was losing grandparents, and I had a couple pass away, and that made me yearn even more to learn about my motherland. And so that's what ultimately drove me to put pen to paper. All these emotions that I had, and this yearning to learn more about this land that I'd never been to before.
What do you find has been the reception from the Cuban people um, about this song?
Man, people are loving it. It's made me emotional at certain times because people are just in my comments just telling their story. Like,
Hmm.
hi, I'm a first generation Cuban American. This was my parents' story, or I'm a Cuban Cuban immigrant. I came here at this time. All of these incredible stories that just people are pouring out because they're relating to the song. It's touching their soul. It's touching who they are, and it's telling a story that that they feel inside. And that to me is special, man. Like when I wrote the song 3 years ago, and I was so scared to put it out because I was like, this it's too important not to touch people, not
Right.
to land on deaf ears, and it hasn't. And that's to me has been like one of the most rewarding moments in my career so far.
Yeah, I do believe that where your thing is that, my brother, you have two loves: the love for the country, your country, your parents' country, and the love you have for the United States, man. And that's gold, bro. That's
For
really
sure.
gold. That you were able to find something, find your niche, write a country song about Cuba. I think that's I have never heard that before ever, man. And I think that's a good thing that you're doing there, bro.
Thank you.
I was impressed, very impressed.
Yeah, and I think it might come down to that time of the show where we may want to hear what this song sounds like.
Yeah, you know what I like, that we waited all this time. Now that you see the background, it almost looks like our background. And now we get to
Yeah,
see
it's
his
like it's like,
face.
it's, like, it's
We're gonna
getting
get to-
twilight. It's
Yeah.
it's so sexy, and he's gonna be
Got the
playing.
good vibes. We got the
Go
good
Willie
vibes.
Chirino.
Dale, Cuban Cowboy Willie Chinino,
Orlandito.
Orlandito Mendez. So without further ado, here's Orlando Mendez playing Motherland.
I'm sitting here drinking at the southernmost tip down in the Florida Key. About to take my last rum-filled sip. Suddenly it came to me. I looked out across the ocean to see if I could see the island where I came from. That's still a part of me. And sure, I ain't never been there. I ain't never touched that sand. But it's where my family came from. And it makes me who I am. This deep-rooted connection. At times I don't understand. But as I'm sitting here right now, I'll tell you, man, there's only 90 miles and a cigar in my hand between me and the motherland. Well, I heard it was Hemingway's paradise before that island fell. The mojito stopped flowing on mint and lime. You can blame it all on Fidel. How long he's gonna keep my people down, well, time will only tell. But you cannot take the Cuban pride, so Castro can go to hell. And sure, I ain't never been there. I ain't never touched that sand. But it's where my family came from. And it makes me who I am. This deep-rooted connection. At times I don't understand. But as I'm sitting here right now, I'll tell you, man, there's only 90 miles and a cigar in my hand between me and the motherland. Between me and the motherland. Oh, my home and my heart is right here in the good old USA. But I still got so much love for the place my family came. The Caribbean island paradise that was taken all away. But brother, time is on our side. We're gonna get her back one day. And sure, I ain't never been there. I ain't never touched that sand. But it's where my family came from. And it makes me who I am. This deep-rooted connection. At times I don't understand, but as I'm sitting here right now, I'll tell you, man, there's only 90 miles and a cigar in my hand. It's just a rum and coke and a cigar in my hand. It's every person that I've loved and a cigar in my hand. And the motherland between me and the motherland. Yeah, 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 yeah. And the motherland.
Fire, bro, fire.
Thank you,
That's
guys.
awesome, man.
That is
That's
awesome.
awesome, man. And I've seen that performance a few times. I've heard the song a few times, and every time gives me goosebumps, man.
Thank
That's
you,
a
bro.
great song, man.
Yeah, it's a cool song.
Thank you,
Great
guys.
song, man. I really congratulate you on your success, Orlando, and what you're doing, man, and what you're building.
Man, I appreciate
Um, yeah, brother, I appreciate you. What you got any last words, Orlando, before we let you go from today's conversation? Is there something you wanna go ahead and plug? Any shows coming up? Anything that's coming up in the near future you want to go ahead and let the people know about?
for sure. I would just say to follow me. If you want to follow my journey, it means the world to me. If you want to follow along, you can find me on Instagram, Orlando, the letter J, Mendez Music. You can also put in Orlando Mendez Music and it'll come up on there. Same for TikTok, Facebook. You can listen to me anywhere you listen to music. I have a lot of music coming out this year, which I'm excited about. I have a few shows coming up I'd like to shout out. If you're in the Miami area, I'll be at Maxwell Brothers in Palmetto Bay this Saturday, starting at 9 o'clock. In April, I'll be at MD Country Fest, April 21st, back here in Miami. And then right now, I'm in the works planning a summer tour through Florida. Hopefully, I'll be back in my city of Gainesville as well over this summer. And I hope to see you guys.
Yeah, man, you'll see us
For
for
sure, man. For sure, you'll see us, man. Let me know. I mean, I'm sure I'll keep a pulse of the whole thing, but let me know if I happen to lose sight of it that you're going to be in town, so we could definitely catch up and at the very least go out and watch your show. 'Cause we definitely would want to be a part of that. Orlando, man, it's been a pleasure. You kick ass, dude. You're an inspiration to the Cuban people and what you're doing. I like I said, I very much value your time because I know you're busy with the promotion of your song. So thank you very much, Orlando, bro. It's been
Thank you,
great,
man.
brother. Thank you so much, man.
Come
Oh,
back
good.
whenever
Thank
you
you
want,
guys.
man.
Thank you guys so much. Oh yeah, this is a blast. Not every interview I do is this entertaining and this fun, man. I feel right at home with you guys. So thank you, Andy. Thank you, Abel, for your hospitality and for having me, man.
You're welcome, bro. Now you're an honorary Cuban dude.
Yeah,
You
you're an
would
honorary
do
Cuban
it.
dude, brother. Yeah,
I
and
love
like Abel said, for sure, man. You're welcome back anytime. So if anytime you want to jump on and talk to us about no importa how important or how semejante como diría mierda, you just want to go ahead and talk with the Cuban dudes here, bro. You're always welcome to come back, brother. I
I love
appreciate
it.
you.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, that's let's give a round of applause for Orlando, man. Orlando Mendez, the Cuban dude. All right, brother. See you around, man.
Later, brothers.
Yeah, dude, it's Orlando.
Was that super cool or what, bro?
That was cool, man. That's
Coño,
definitely
fuera de-
that's the first for the Cuban dudes show.
Bro, it was like
I
a
have-
curve, Cubanito, country music. I'm like, where am I going with this?
I
love
know.
it. I love
That that's awesome. And the live performances takes it.
That was cool. That was the first.
Yeah.
And this is show 10.
This is just show 10, man.
10, and we
Imagine
got
what we're
nine.
gonna look like in show 100
10.
and 10. Maybe by that time that's when Orlando will have like a mansion in Bimini, and he'll have mommy and daddy set up in Nashville, con
That's
tremenda
it.
casa.
TV cribs.
Yeah,
Shit.
and then we'll just kind of be hanging out in his living room, like part of his entourage, like
that's
whatever,
it.
the Cuban dudes.
It's a Cuban dude's podcast here in my fucking house.
Yeah, but no, man, super cool dude.
No,
Like
buena
I
onda,
said,
buena
I'm
onda
very
people.
very thankful for his time.
Yeah, really.
Oye,
Dímelo cantando.
we're coming up on an hour. I think we've had a solid show. We've
This is
spoken
it,
about a few things up front here. And we had a great conversation with Orlando. You got anything? I know we're coming up closer to the date. We've mentioned this quite a bit of collateral interest.
Collateral interest, April 16th.
April 16th, guys.
What is it? Amazon Prime. and
Amazon
Tubi.
Prime. And I want to let you guys know that we so first of all, subscribe to our channel, please, if you haven't done so already. If you're on YouTube and you're catching this show, you came on to watch Orlando. We're gonna have a lot more guests like Orlando. We're gonna have more actors, more musicians, more entrepreneurs that are doing cool stuff. I mean, we have
Artists, real artists, the lady that does all the art down south.
yeah, people that do like actual like art, if you get what I mean. People that are killing it on the scene. That people that are both, excuse me, very influential, both in Miami or in the Gainesville scene, or just throughout the United States. Our show initially started with trying to talk to Hispanics or Hispanic Americans that are doing big things, but we've opened it up to just talk to anybody who's doing something really cool.
Right.
We always have a pulse for Hispanic Americans, but very much subscribe, and we promise to bring you, just better content each time. We promise to be better each time. And what we do hope is that those of you that have been following us from the very beginning look back on days like these and be like, man, I remember when these guys were just, two dudes just
In a garage.
just doing stuff, and now look at them in the studio, whatever. That's our goal. That's kind of like our drive, right, to go ahead and get there. So we very much would appreciate you guys to be in the journey with us.
Yep.
Anything else, Abel, from your part? Because I'm good to go.
No, people, let's go. Let's go.
I gotta go check on the chickens, make sure that the foxes didn't eat the chickens. My daughter is very concerned about
Casé
that.
de pollo, arroz con pollo, sopa de pollo,
Abel's over here
croqueta de
fricassé de pollo.
pollo.
Yeah, go get that. We're out, guys. Great show
Peace.
today. Peace.
Bye.
This has been El Cuban Dudes Show with Andy and Abel. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@CubanDudes, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram @CubanDudes. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.